Hi everyone, welcome to my series where we're getting to know my favourite people in the world of trampoline, tumbling and double mini. Today I'm joined by European DMT team medalist and the World Championships and the World Games individual finalist, Andrew Houston. Hi Andrew, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm not too bad. How you doing in lockdown?
I'm not too bad because I'm still working in the week because technically I'm a key worker. So yeah.
A key worker?
Yeah. So I work in a medical facility, so we just do the exact same job.
Okay.
So.
Are you raging at the moment? Because obviously you're a big artistic fan like I am, and we should be getting ready for the Olympics at the moment.
I know.
We should be texting forward back about all the American
teams.
Who's
going to make teams, yeah.
Yeah. Are you happy it's put off for a year? That'll definitely happen, or?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I didn't want it to happen this year because obviously everybody's in lockdown. And the standard just wouldn't be as good.
Simone will win anyway.
Yeah, she would. Like that triple double off, it's not fair.
She's good. You might want to speak up a little bit because you're a bit muffled.
Yeah, sorry.
Grand. So what I'm doing, I'm going to get started now. All I'm doing is I want to talk to you about your career. You've had quite a colourful career between different things in that you've done and different situations you've been in. So it'd be interesting. I know a lot of it, obviously, because I'm from Ireland and I've known you since you were a kid. But it's great to hear your perspective on things and for other people to hear it. Okay? So we're going to go back to the beginning. So how did you get involved in trampoline or gymnastics in general?
So I remember I'd done gymnastics for like as much as I can remember. Just as like a recreational level. And then I think whenever I was about 10, my mum decided to go back to uni, and she was doing her dissertation and she needed somewhere to send me for a few hours so she could actually do her uni work. And yeah, trampoline club fitted in quite well with that.
Is that why you picked the club so far away from your house? Because it's like 40-minute drive, isn't it?
No. So originally, I went to like just the local club for a few months whilst my mum did her dissertation. And then I think Andrew Coulter came one session just to cover, and he said, "Oh yeah, you're quite good." And then the coach who usually took that session, she said, "Yeah, I can't take any further." And so we just started looking around, and then the only club that ended up answering the phone that day was Peninsula, and then I ended up going there.
Okay. Did you do other sports before that? Like I know you did a little bit of gymnastics, but were you into any other sports?
Not really, no. Like I just done gymnastics from whenever I was like 3, but not very well.
And how long, when you started trampoline, how long did it take you to actually start competing?
About 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yeah. So I just learned through. Well, once I'd moved to Gail's club, yeah, I was there for about 2 weeks, and I did my first regional.
Okay, it's a bit thrown into the deep end, isn't it? Did it feel weird? I suppose back then it was just a small hall.
Yeah,
and a couple of trampolines.
Yeah, I didn't really think of it was I didn't think it was a big deal, really.
Were you always competitive? Like, did you move to Gail's club so that you could get into competitive trampolining?
No, like I just enjoyed it, and I just wanted to learn a few more skills. Like I had no idea what the sport was, really. I just enjoyed being on the trampoline, and then I moved to Gail's, and then did some competition.
So were you made aware straight away that Gail was a competitive club and that you did? So if you did a competition after 2 weeks, your band told about it straight away.
Yeah, and I think whenever I joined, it was coming up to Quebec Worlds, so like there were people from that club that were going to like World Age. So I knew that was a thing.
Yeah.
So I knew that they must have been all right.
How long did it take you to go onto the British national circuit then? Because what year was that you started?
It's been like 2007.
So it took you a couple of years, because I think the first thing I could see of you in the British national circuit is about 2010 British Championships.
Yeah, but I'd done, so whenever they had galas in Northern Ireland, I always did those.
The qualifier.
Yeah, but I didn't really know that they qualified you to anything.
You're oblivious?
I didn't know that I was qualifying for stuff, so I just thought, oh yeah, you do these and then you move up a grade. I didn't. I didn't.
You just did what you had to do, and you're told to go and do it.
Yeah, and then I think there was like, whenever I did grade 2, was it grade 2?
It would have been grade 2 back then, yeah.
So I think I did a grade 2, and I was like, oh yeah, why am I not moving up to grade 1 now? Like what? Because I'd never missed a grade. Like I just went 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all in like 5.
And then you had to get a certain score to move between levels, didn't you?
Yeah. So then I was just like, oh, so have I not moved up to 1? And I just didn't get it.
No,
and then I think after that, then I knew there was some.
Is that when you kind of got to know about DMT? Because until then, your club didn't have a DMT, and only got DMT like after you got quite big into DMT training. So how did you kind of know about DMT and know that you could compete it?
So we had this thing called Southeastern Regional Squad, and it was pretty much just like Gail and Stuart's club mixed together. And,
professional.
Yeah. And so we had a DMT there, and I think we just messed about on it. And then whenever it was like the galas in Northern Ireland, they obviously had DMT at those, so we just entered that. But we didn't train for it. We just
yeah, because I had never seen you, because we didn't have DMT in the Northern Ireland competition structure. And I remember I judged a gala in Jordanstown University. I think it was the last one we had here. And you did a DMT competition, and you're only doing like straight back half out, but it was, or whatever it was, but it was like stuck perfect. I was like, oh, Andrew does DMT.
Yeah, well, I think, yeah, I'd done it. That's whenever we started training a little bit more. But like before then, like I was entered and I just did like tuck back, tuck granny, just for fun.
What was it like? What did you prefer? Did you prefer competing DMT and trampoline, or DMT or trampoline? What was your favorite?
Oh yeah, I always hated competing trampoline. Just didn't like it.
You hated competing trampoline?
Yeah,
Why?
I didn't like. I don't know. I always felt like whenever you get up on the trampoline, you just feel a bit more exposed, and everybody can watch you. And I was always a bit scared of jumping high, and yeah. But then at the same time, I didn't like training mini whenever I first got started. I preferred training trampoline, but I preferred competing mini.
I think that's quite a common thing. A lot of people say that, don't they?
Yeah.
It can be quite hard to train repetitively, where you can do a lot more on the trampoline. Yeah. You learned all your skills on trampoline first, didn't you?
Yeah, until I moved. Until later on in my career.
Until you went everything, yeah. So like 2010 was your first British Championships, and you got thrown in the deep end because you were competing. I didn't realize this. You were competing senior synchro. Like I knew you competed synchro, but I always assumed it was like junior synchro or something. But you were in the senior category against all the seniors with Boyd Cathcart. Can you remember that being a thing at the time?
I don't remember a little bit, but I remember actually, because you had to get points to qualify for synchro. And I mean, in fairness, we played the system because no one ever did the Northern Ireland Gala, so I think we won that. And by doing that, then we got enough points just to go.
You can say you did senior British before. Yes, first ever British, and probably like 1 or 2 doubles.
Yeah, no, I think we had 3, but like Granny and Bacca and double bind throw.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
because I looked as well in that you obviously made British for that DMT as well, but it was Nat C 15 plus. And I'm looking at the difficulty levels, and I don't think you even had a double in each round.
No.
But what was it like competing on that stage? Because obviously you've come from, like I said, Northern Ireland. The galas were even quite small. But 2010 was the first year that tumbling and everything was in with us at the British Championships. Did it feel like a big deal? Yeah.
So I remember walking out to like podium training, and it was the biggest arena I'd ever been in, and yeah, that was a bit scary. And then, because you see a ton more people competing and like warming up than you're used to. Yeah, it was just a bit surreal because we just don't have that in Northern Ireland. And like I'd done Irish championships, but they just weren't. They were in a leisure centre.
Yeah, it was always just a hall, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I even remember walking out whenever I was judging at those British. I wouldn't have been coaching at them back then. And I remember even walking out going, oh my word, this is quite big.
Yeah.
Were you aware then that there was going to be a World Championships there the following year? Was that on your radar at that stage?
Yeah, because I trialed for, like, I knew about World Championships and World Age because I trialed for Russia in 2009 and Metz in 2010 for Ireland. So I knew that, I knew about World Age. So I must have known.
Did you always just miss it, or what was the situation with qualifying?
What was the
situation with qualifying? Because I know in 2009 they qualified a team, but didn't send a team. Were you part of that? Were you part of that team?
No, I think I missed by like 0.2.
Oh god.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
In advance things, it probably was a good idea.
Definitely. Yeah. So I knew about World Age, and Metz. I think I was just nowhere near the standard that I needed to be at Metz, because I remember going to the trial, and the way it worked was you were given like an hour to do your routines, as many as you like, and if you hit the score, then you were going. And I remember I did 3 balls, and I think I was a fair bit off the score that they'd set, and I was just like, I tapped out.
You were point what off the score, sorry?
Oh, I was a lot off. I don't remember how much, but it was a lot. So
you could just go for the whole hour, keep going until you felt like you were ready to do the routine, like as many chances as you wanted.
Yeah. It was just totally different to how things are now. I mean, I don't know how things are now with Ireland, but
completely different as well. It's very strict. You have to hit the score like it is in Great Britain.
Yeah. So you just did as many as you like until you were either told to stop or.
Was there ever a conversation when you were talking about going for, international? Was there ever a conversation about what country you would represent? Because obviously in Northern Ireland we have the choice. We've dual nationality. We can represent Great Britain. Well, we can try and represent Great Britain, or we can try and represent Ireland. Was that ever a discussion in your club, or was it always just you're going Ireland and that's it? Yeah,
I mean, I think the whole everybody in Northern Ireland just automatically did Ireland, because I don't like at that time. I mean, I don't know, like I can't remember, but I'd be pretty confident to say that no one was anywhere near the standard to make GB. So it was just a given that you went to Ireland because that was the only way you were going to make the team.
Yeah, it's the only way you're going to get to the Worlds. So going into 2011, was that your big aim after having missed 2009, 2010? 2011 was going to be your big year.
Yeah, I finally learned a half out.
How old were you?
I was about 16.
So what were you competing before that?
Double backs and then Barani and back outs. So I learned half outs whenever I was 11. Right. Whenever I first tried half outs, I got them first go, and I knew exactly where I was. And I just remember someone, like, I don't think it was a coach, I just think it was another gymnast, was like, "Oh, you're twisting a bit early in that." Like, they said it once, maybe as like a passing comment, and then the next day I went in to try a half out, and it was like twist, see the ceiling.
Oh god, scary.
And then I just couldn't get that out of my head for a long time. And then I learned Barani and back outs, because I was like, right, well, if I'm going to twist early anyway, I may as well know where I am.
Good reasoning, good solid reasoning.
So I did Barani and back outs for a while, and then whenever I went back to learn half outs, they weren't a problem anymore. And then I think in the space of in 2011, I'd learned half outs, half and half outs. And I think I just started really out at the end of the year. So I'd learned loads of skills, and so I knew that World Age probably could happen that year.
How did you qualify? Can you remember the qualification process? I think it was a little bit stricter that year.
Yeah. So I think we found out about the score. I don't know how we found out about the score, but there was a score that we all knew before, and there was 3 competitions where you could qualify. So it was definitely more structured that year. So I knew when I needed to compete, and one time it was a squad, an in-squad competition. One time it was an Irish qualifying. Yeah, and then I think maybe the Irish Championships.
I think the last trial was the Irish Championships.
Yeah.
And can you remember, had you hit the score before you actually went to the Irish Championships?
Yeah, so I hit it on. So the first trial was like on a Saturday, like at the squad, and then the second trial was on the Sunday at the competition. So I didn't hit it at the squad, and then on the Sunday I did hit it.
Yeah,
like
I remember
after that first weekend.
I remember you running over, and I was on the judging panel, I think, and so was Gail, your coach, and you come running over to hug her because you'd finally hit the score.
Yeah.
I think the day before, because you had to try for synchro and everything as well, but you didn't have to try for double mini, I think.
No, we were just told you could go.
Yeah, so if you qualified trampoline, then you were allowed to go for double mini. Wasn't that it?
I don't think so, because I was told that I was told on the Saturday that I was going for double mini regardless.
Oh, really?
But I don't know if that was just like we'll take some pressure off you and tell you that you're going for double mini, and then maybe you'll hit trampoline.
I'm surprised you didn't. I'm surprised you didn't go. That's fine. I don't want to do trampoline anyway.
I mean, I still don't know how I qualified for double mini because you didn't have a trial.
They knew your potential, say. So, you obviously got selected, and you knew for World Age that year. You went into British that year, and you won trampoline and double mini British Championships, but you won at national C level, which was like the level just below international level. When you were at that competition, did it kind of strike you a bit? Did you look around at the FIG ones and think, I'm going to be against them when I'm competing at World Age? Or were you just oblivious to the whole thing?
No, I knew. Yeah. I knew, well, not so much in trampoline because I think I didn't watch trampoline as much whenever I was like at that age. But I watched double mini and I saw like Nathaniel and Dan Berridge, and I knew that they were going to World Age. Yeah.
Did it psych you out of it, or were you up for the challenge?
No, not really, because I knew, like, I think whenever I was a gymnast, I always sort of knew where I stood. Like, I was never in any, like, two minds about, oh, I'm going to go and win World Age. Or, like, I knew that the standard that I was at. So I knew that, like, I wasn't really competing against them. I was just kind of going to do a World Age, which that was kind of, it's a totally different mindset, I think, with Ireland, where you were just kind of going to
take part.
Yeah.
Compared to when you go at GB, you're already in the mindset that you're going to do something.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy that World Age? Like, what was the experience of the World Age like?
It was okay. You know, like, it was a small team. And competition-wise, like, I did pretty much how I trained on like trampoline, synchro, and DMT. Synchro was a bit iffy. Our synchro score wasn't very good. But
are you happy that you actually went over and you pulled out all the routines that you're supposed to do? Like, that was probably a test of your pressure situation for you.
I was really happy with. I was happy with my performance, and like trampoline routine was probably the best one I could do, and I don't think I finished like embarrassingly though. Like,
no,
I
wasn't. It was
the group. Like, I think 30 something.
Synchro, you're 12. Trampoline, you're 36. DMT, you were 23rd.
So
it was
in
the middle of the group and solid scores.
Yeah, it wasn't embarrassing, but I was happy with how I did. But I did come away from that competition knowing that, cool, I did well, but I want to do a bit better than just well.
Did you had it inside you to push into finals and to push into medals and stuff? Did you think that was inside you?
Back then?
Yeah.
No.
So what changed? Like, so obviously then after 2011, in 2012, and that's when you started coming up. And I'll tell a story. Whenever at the trial for the World Age in 2011, that's when I knew Gail for years, your coach.
Yeah.
But in 2011, we drove down the car because she was heavily pregnant, and she wanted someone to be in the car with her in case she went into labor. She had her notes and everything with her. It was quite funny. But so we got to know each other quite well at that couple of trials. And that's when you started. We got I think we got a grant in Andersonstown. We got a new double mini, and that's when you started coming up. In that year, did you start thinking about maybe looking at GBR instead of Ireland?
Yeah. So I think after 2011 Worlds, I did want to do better than just okay. And I think like I transitioned to GB in 2014 officially, but like my mind was pretty much made up very early on in 2012. And I think mostly because I knew that I liked double mini more at that stage, and that there was with GB, I think, yeah, okay, I might not make as many international teams or like any international teams. But I think I wanted to compete at galas and like at British nationals more than I did go into a world age just to finish like middle of the pack. And so like whenever I was going to Irish squads, and like it's a smaller country, it has less resources and things like that. So like we didn't have the facilities, and like if we arrived at a squad and there was a double mini, that was a good day. And if we arrived there and there was a landing area that was bigger than 10 feet, that was a really good day. And I think that just going to enough of those squads and that being the case, I think that sort of fueled that I need to switch.
Did you think about as well the fact that, so as Ireland at the time only had like Boyd as a senior, you as a senior, well coming towards senior, there was no kind of team. Did the team thing of GBR attract you? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, not so much initially because I was still a junior when I decided, but then whenever it was like late 2013, and they were all trialing for World Age in 2013. And I remember I had to make a decision definitely at that point because I'd have to get a license. And I knew 2014 Europeans was happening. And like at that point, I wasn't like anywhere near the mix, but I knew that if I even wanted a chance at that and to do a team competition, that I'd have to decide then. So yeah, it did factor in a little bit.
Did you like the fact, because in 2012, at the end of it, we went to Flanders Cup in and you actually came second next to Nathaniel Scott, and I think there was an American guy was third, Cody.
Yeah, Cody as well.
And you had all the GB ones were there with kind of the English team.
Yeah.
And that gives you confidence to know that actually you can compete against them.
Yeah. So like that was probably the first competition, because I think I got a PB like quite a bit at that comp. And then I was like, oh yeah, like maybe I can keep up. Like I from like being way behind to then being like, oh, maybe I can keep up with them. And then so at that point I was like, all right, so Nathaniel's on World Age team, so but he did beat me by a lot. So but then I knew that a lot of other people at that comp had trialed for World Age and I'd beaten them. So at that point I must have been like, yeah, maybe this could happen.
It was in your head. So 2013, beginning of 2013, the goal was make the World Age team at the end of that year.
Yeah.
Well, what were you doing then during that year to try and push for that? Like, what was the steps? Did you have to push your DD a lot? Did you have to push your technique a lot?
Probably, yeah, all of it. My DD was still quite low. I think I'd learned half Rudy that year and tried to put that on mini with like varying degrees of success.
I remember the time you put it out in competition that year, and like you and Gail in the warm up were hugging each other because you landed it. You were doing just that confidence to do it in competition.
Yeah. So I did upgrade a fair bit on mini, I think.
Do you remember like, because obviously at the end of 2012 we had the HPC course in the south of England that I went to, and you were there as a gymnast, and you were learning full in 1 and 3s, and you were finding it tough to duck them under. Did you have difficulty learning those type of skills?
Not so, like full in halves, but like half Rudies, no. Full in halves I just struggle with because it's just different to other skills. So like I would do the Barani and then forget to do the rest of it, but I could do the prep fine. And I think I should be worse.
You need to man up a bit and just do it.
Yeah.
Can you remember as well that you had to change your whole sprint technique?
Yeah, because it was bad, and it
got
better. So I had a sprint coach, for a few months, and he helped a bit. Yeah, so that did help. And then I got a bit more power on mini just from doing that, because I think my run was awful to begin with.
Can you remember when he made you do a sprint competition, like an actual proper 100-meter sprint?
Yeah, and I slipped from the starting blocks.
Oh, I always tell that story. I think it's hilarious. You'd
Yeah.
never been in starting blocks before, had you?
No. So whenever I trained, we didn't have starting blocks, and so I never really knew how to use them. And then, yeah, we got to like they put us into groups, and then they gave us these starting blocks, and all the other people were just like fixing theirs and adjusting it. I was like, I don't know what to do, so I just left them with the way they were and set them on the ground and used them.
What happened as soon as you went to run, you fell over?
Pretty much, yeah.
Was that the end of your 100-meter sprint career?
That was the end of my sprinting.
But the actual sprint and training, it made a big impact on your career.
Yeah, definitely.
I remember it was the thing we always talked about. It was very flat-footed, and Gail ended up, I think it was Gail who knew another guy called Andrew who was a sprint coach, and she ended up getting him in, and she identified that you needed to work on that to kind of push forward a little bit.
Yeah.
So coming into British Championships that year, which was one of the trials for Worlds, I think you had to hit the score at that British Championships to actually get into the trial, which was in September.
Yeah.
And you didn't quite hit it. I think you came fourth, but you didn't hit the scores. How did that feel? Was that disappointing?
Yeah, a little bit. Like after I knew which round I had the best chance of hitting the score on, and I knew that was prelims. And so whenever I didn't hit it at prelims, I kind of knew, but we still had finals to try and hit the score. But I think at that stage I knew that I probably wasn't going to get it. And I knew, I think it was 0 finals anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my final 2 passes, they weren't great. Yeah, because I subbed a skill, so I came fourth. And I wasn't happy, but
put all your difficulty into the first 2 passes, didn't we, to try and hit the score?
Yeah.
And just a couple of I
landed outside the box. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
did you feel a step up in your performance? Because that's when you started doing really advanced. That's when you started doing bigger skills. Did it feel like you were on the path to getting where you needed to go, or was it just frustrating? Oh, I'm not going to get there.
Yeah, I think it was like one of those times where what I was doing before adding those skills in, I was pretty much like I'd maxed out what I could score with those, and so it almost felt like, all right, I'll just take a step back, add the difficulty in, and then build it up from there.
Did obviously, like, it was you and Ryan Devine used to train together in Anderson's time, and you were both going for World Age that year. And Ryan, obviously, he made it. He made the British team for World Age, which would be the first person since about 2001 to make the British team. Did that give you that kind of, oh, it can be done? Yeah,
definitely. Like him doing it, and like especially because we trained together and we had like you and Gail, like it's pretty much the same team. It was like, oh yeah, we know what we're doing. Yeah. It kind of just validates what the training that we had been doing was correct. Because I think, I mean, I don't know if you experienced it, but like, I feel like whenever you're in Northern Ireland, it's like you're in a bubble a little bit. And I remember like growing up, and you just kind of like, you watch the people that are from like England and Wales and Scotland, and you're like, all right, well, they're sort of separate. Like we're just kind of watching what they're doing instead of, no, we're actually part of that group. I don't know. It felt a lot like that. And then finally, like, whenever
unattainable, they were just, we could never be that level. But then why can't we be that level?
Yeah. And then whenever Ryan made it, it was like, all right, okay, maybe we're
here.
Yeah, we can do the same thing as them.
Right. Were you aware at that stage? Because I think in the year before and in the lead up to 2013, it was still kind of the old structure in British gymnastics, and it was quite tough getting information, finding out how to make the team, finding out scores, finding out what, getting advice and stuff was quite tough. And I remember me and Gail coming against kind of brick walls a lot. Yeah. Were you aware, because obviously we're coming from Ireland, and like you said a second ago, Northern Ireland people never really made the team, apart from since Anthony Coulter in 2001. Yeah. So were you aware that the whole system was changed at the end of 2013 and a new crowd were coming in?
No. I think I knew it was changing from like Fig A and that sort of thing to something else, but I don't think we knew what that something else was.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So after 2013, were you dead set on 2014 Euros?
Yeah, well, I think it was in the back of my mind, but I didn't actually think, because I mean, I just didn't make the world age team, and I had to go senior at 2014 Euro, so I didn't really like yes, but also no.
Were you aware that after 2013 Worlds, the likes of Matt Swafford was retiring, Rhys Gray was at uni and not really training anymore? I think Pete Cracknell was quite injured, so he took a bit of time off. Were you aware that those three big players on the team were gone, and that, oh, there might be a space for me for European?
I knew very early on in 2014. Like, I think, yeah, I knew that, and then I think all the pieces kind of just fell in the right place for there to be, like, for me to move up to being in contention.
Yeah, because I remember the year before, there was a big argument between me, you, and Gail, because you wanted to go Fig A, and we were like, chill out, you don't need to yet, your time will come.
Yeah.
Did that validate that? Did that validate that decision?
Yeah, but I still wanted to do it. Because I remember watching 2013 Fig A, and it wasn't a great competition.
Yeah, they didn't do well.
Yeah.
But you weren't to know that.
No.
Well, like I said, I think it was your time, because with all those people going and everything like that. Can you remember Toby Eager took over in the beginning of that year, well, kind of towards the end of 2013, beginning of 2014, and he set up a new national squad, which wasn't kind of there before, and he put out an application to trial. And can you remember that trial? Can you remember like your first time at the show?
Yeah.
How'd that feel?
Scary. Because that was probably the first time, because I know I tried to make like world age teams with GB, but it was never like, you were never in like a hall with everybody like in contention. It was just at like galas or like British Championships. So like this was the first time that I was probably in, like, it felt like you were sort of like in
the mix.
Like, yeah. And you
in the inner circle a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah. And like you'd seen Lilla Shaw and like the videos that like British Gymnastics put out. But again, it was always like, oh yeah, we're just watching what they do over there. And then finally, like, you're at Lilla Shaw, and
it feels a bit like
more real.
Was it a bit like, what the hell am I doing here?
Yeah, definitely. Like, not really knowing what's happening, but you're asking me to do some passes, so I'll just do them until you tell me to stop.
And at that stage, I think we didn't have massive difficulty, but you were doing it really clean and really consistent. Do you remember catching the eye of the head national coach, Craig?
Yeah. Even though I still think he doesn't know my name. But yeah.
Well, he doesn't know anyone's name. He just knows where you're from. He knows you're
Irish. Yeah, I remember. But I think maybe that was more at the trials or the training camp. I don't know. But yeah, I remember him. I mean, you can't really miss Craig.
Yeah. I think what his big thing about you was is that he came in and watched a bit of the trial. And he wasn't there the whole lot, but he was there more to trial. He at the squad trial, but he was there more to European trial. Yeah. And there was a squad in between he was in and out, I think, as well. I think that may be the one that he was there at. And he called you Steady Eddie because every time you ran at the double mini, you did your pass and stuck it. Yeah. Yeah. Was that what you were known for? Did you know that was your strength?
Yeah. Yeah, because I think I knew going into Europeans that I wasn't contending for a final still, but I knew that what they needed was someone that could just hit a pass for team finals and could put up some good numbers in qualifying. And so I think we kind of just built me into that. Yeah. I think we only really trained 2 passes, didn't we? A little bit. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we had 2 passes that scored well every time. Yeah, because I know going into the trial, because you were really confident going up doing your first 2 passes. Were you a bit, in the second 2 passes, were you a bit like... Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I was just like, as long as I land my feet here, this is fine. Because I think I knew that, okay, I needed to hit 2 good passes to like make the score and show that I was useful. But then I knew that I still had to hit the other 2 so that I kind of sort of proved myself as consistent. Yeah. Because you can't just hit 2 and then fall on the other 2 because it doesn't matter. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. And they're not going to send people. I think that's big was very much like, if you're not good enough, you're not going. We don't care if we don't send a full team. Yeah. Which was good. Yeah. So obviously at that stage you knew that you were going for the team player.
What did it feel like when you got to Europeans and you were first reserved for the final?
Oh, yeah, that was annoying.
But was it relief? Because you're like, I don't want to do the final because I don't really have much for the final? Or was it just like, oh, I wish I was in the final?
A little bit. I think a little bit of both. Like, I was happy enough just coming ninth. Because but then at the same time, we still went to the back hall because you're reserved for the final, you still go and you train. And I remember Toby was like, right, okay, let's just upgrade your last pass then.
You like to?
I don't know. The Rudy out pike something. Rudy out pike, half and half out pike, I think it was going to be. Which, like, looking back at it now, that's still not a big pass for a senior. But for me, that was...
At the time.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I was happy. I was happy with how I did. I did more than I thought I would.
And going into the team final, was that pressure? Because obviously, you'd done World Age. You had never competed for Great Britain. The first time you competed for Great Britain is at a senior Europeans where you're in a team final. And we knew you were going to be in a team final because there was only 3 members of the team.
Yeah.
And there was only 4 teams that year, I think, wasn't there?
Yeah.
So you didn't want to be the one who didn't get the medal.
Yeah, exactly.
How did you feel going up in the final?
Initially fine. Like, I wasn't bothered at all. And then I only remember getting nervous whenever I was standing on the runway and the chair put his hand up, and I was like, my mind just went blank. I was like, I don't know how do I do double mini anymore? So I just ran and hoped for the best, and it went well.
It was a good path because you moved up from 4th to 3rd in the final and ended up getting your bronze medal.
Yeah.
What was that like on the podium?
It was weird because I'd not made any British team before, and like, I'd made Ireland, but I think in my head I was like, okay, right, cool, I made Ireland, but
did you feel like part of the team? Or did you feel like a newbie?
No, well, I felt new, obviously, but like, I knew people. Like, I think I knew Pam. I don't know how I knew Pam at that stage, but I knew. Yeah, I got on with Pam.
Irish and stuff.
Yeah. I didn't feel like I wasn't part of the team. No, I enjoyed my experience a lot.
Was it tough in the lead up to it? Because if you remember, you nearly didn't get it.
Yeah.
Like, tell us about that. What happened? Why were you like? Why was it touch and go right up to the day you travelled?
So apparently, because I competed for Ireland as a junior, and then in 2012 my license expired for Ireland, and back then we were just like, right, well, we're not going to renew it because we might be going for Great Britain. Apparently FIG thought I'd retired, and then whenever I don't know, I must have sent in the license form, they said that, oh, you need to give us 6 months notice that you're coming out of retirement.
Oh God.
Because of, I think it's because of doping rules. I don't know, but they said you needed to give 6 months notice. And then I remember being told at the training camp by Alan.
I think it's our performance manager.
Yeah. That was pretty rough because I was like really excited to get to training camp, and I think everybody else was getting like their license cards, all the new people, and mine just wasn't there. And I was like, oh no. In my head, I knew something was wrong. I was like,
were you aware of all the work that was going on in the background to sort that out?
Not at all. I knew after Alan told me, he was like, right, can you send me, have you got any results to show that you've competed like in the past few years? And I was like, yeah, okay. And then, he was like, just email me those and we'll see what we can do. But I remember even leaving the training camp and we still didn't know. And I think we were leaving like a few days after that.
So when did we find out? I can't really remember. Was it the day before you went?
Yeah, I remember packing. And then I think my dad checked on the FIG website and like my name was finally on there. And then like an hour or so later, we got an email from someone at British Gymnastics saying, you're not going to have like your physical license card, but it's there, so you can go.
Yeah.
I remember that was pretty cool.
Was it weird then, once you were aware of that situation, and you obviously Ollie, who was the reserve, he was there, he was brought in to train just in case.
Yeah.
Did you think at that stage, this is going to be taken away from me?
A little bit, yeah, especially because Ollie was like amazing at camp. Like, I think he won all of our trial competitions. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to want to take him. And like, not that I did badly at the trial competitions, but just, I think some of the training sessions, I wasn't as consistent as I had been previously. And obviously, like, it was affecting me a little bit because, like, the closer we got to Europeans, the less likely it looked like I was going to be able to go, in my mind at least.
Did you think that because of all the hassle and stuff, they're probably thinking he's too much hassle, let's just go with Ollie?
A little bit, I think.
Yeah. I remember at home as well.
Yeah. So it was just such a stressful week, and it did take a little bit of the fun out of the training camp because, you just don't know if you're going to go.
I remember Gail phoning me going, "We need to get results." So it was like, I can't remember where the results were at the time. They were somewhere on some website.
Yeah, they weren't on some official, because British Gymnastics didn't have official stuff at that point.
So we had to get GATA's results, Northern Ireland Championships results, Irish Championships results to say that you were still competing and we're still the whole way through. Yeah. Thank God. Got there in the end. Because me and Gail had booked to go out and watch and everything. So we're like, oh, we might not be going out to watch it. So did you come back from that super motivated after 2014 Europeans? Yeah,
I think that was like, because I knew that I could do it. And so if I could do it once, I could go again.
What was it like? Because obviously the rest of the year, you knew you were going to university. And was it tough trying to decide? Because obviously then you had to change clubs. If you weren't going to go in Northern Ireland, was that ever a choice? Were you thinking, will I go in Northern Ireland to university or leave? Or what was the thought process?
No, I always wanted to leave.
Thanks.
No offense. I always wanted to leave. And I think my university choices were all like around different clubs. So I think I had Bath, Liverpool, Edinburgh, I think Durham, but I don't know who I was going to train with from Durham. Maybe like the Daniels Club.
No, Philosophy or something, isn't it?
Yeah. And so I initially I was going to go with Bath.
Pete Cracknell.
With Pete. And then I think whenever I made the Europeans team, because Liverpool was always in the back of my mind, but in my head I was like, I will go with Birkenhead because City of Liverpool had the reputation of being a very, very good club. But whenever I was picking universities, I was like, well, I'm not good enough to get into City of Liverpool. Like, they're not going to take me.
It was up on that kind of pedestal for people in Ireland, wasn't it?
They just had such a reputation of making gymnast after gymnast. And so I was like, well, they're not going to have me. And then whenever I went to Europeans, I remember, I think it was probably at the banquet, Jay was like, oh, so you've applied to Liverpool Uni. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, you can come and train with us if you move there. And I was like, all right. And then I think at that point, I was like, yeah, okay, well, this makes sense.
Were you going to ask him before that? Because I knew there was conversations in the background. I think Toby was having conversations with us in the crowd, and I think he was wanting you to go there as well. So were you looking up the courage to go and ask him?
Yeah, probably. And then I think he just asked me.
Yeah, he's a scary guy to approach. When you... What was it like? What was that transition like? Obviously, because after you stayed with us until you did British, you did Lule Cup, and you made your first senior final. And then you literally went home from Lule Cup to Liverpool. You didn't come home with us to Belfast. What was that transition period like?
I feel like it didn't really start until, because we still had British. So I got back to Liverpool, and then we had 2 weeks until British. And so it wasn't a hard transition because you were just going, you were doing passes. So nothing was different. And then, but yeah, it's just a totally different environment because where we would train, it would just be me and Ryan in a hall. Yeah. And then you go in to City of Liverpool, and there was the artistic ones who you'd seen go to the Olympics, like Rebecca Tunney, and then you you had all of these other athletes that were just really, really good. Like,
was it intimidating to go into that environment?
A little bit, but not massively, because I knew like Nicole and Dan and Ben from Europeans, and Mikey. I think Mikey had moved to that stage. Yeah.
Yeah, he moved just before Europeans, didn't he?
Yeah. So like I knew all of them. So like it wasn't, and I knew Pam as well. So it wasn't massively like I didn't not know anyone.
So did things start progressing quite fast in Liverpool in terms of skill level and conditioning, all that kind of stuff? What was the
like conditioning started straight away. I remember like the first 2 weeks just not being able to walk, not being able to move because like everything hurt.
Yeah. Because then we were only starting to get Northern Ireland didn't do conditioning,
no,
and and I was just starting to introduce it and get my head around it. Yeah. And then went in from that to
yeah. Oh, it was awful. I couldn't move.
You kind of think at that stage, what have I done? Why did I move to this club?
I think it was actually like day 3, and I was like, another day of trying to run at this mini, and I can't feel my legs. And I'm like, yeah, and I was probably still hungover from freshers the day before. It's not a good time.
I forgot all about that. You had that whole university life to live as well.
Yeah.
Freshers is good for training.
No, it's not. But no, it was fine. And then after British, because I think we decided at that point, because Michael Scott, I don't know how to say it.
Mike Scott, yeah.
Yeah, so he came back, Peter came back, Nathaniel was back, Mikey had upgraded. And so at that point, I knew that I wasn't going to try off for 2014 Worlds because I just didn't have the difficulty. And because I kind of wanted to enjoy the first few weeks of uni, I think we decided, yeah, let's not trial and let's just have a week off just to enjoy uni, and then you can come back and we'll just do skills.
And push it into
skills came fast.
What was the big difference in learning them?
Like the approach was the exact same. I think just being in a different environment, and like whenever I joined City Liverpool, like I fully recognized I was a massive wuss, like fully. And I think whenever I joined there, I was like, okay, right, I can't really. That's not an excuse here.
Yeah, because whenever you had any issues or anything in Belfast, if Gail wasn't up at the session, I used to phone Gail and, can you talk to Andrew? He's crying again.
Yeah.
So did you feel like you couldn't back at it on nearly that kind of environment? You felt like you probably went for stuff that maybe you would have wussed out of at home?
100%, yeah. Yeah, because I knew that, like, and especially because in Northern Ireland, like, Ryan was good at the time, but I don't think he was, maybe just started full fulls.
Yeah, I think he learned full in 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
He wasn't doing double mini.
Yeah, but it wasn't like the norm to be pushing skills of that level in Northern Ireland, whereas you go to Liverpool and like everybody can do a full full. It's just not a big deal. And so I think the fact that everybody in my group could do it, I was like, well, no, I have to do it.
Did the pit and everything like that help as well?
Yeah, because I could, like, if I couldn't visualize the skill, I'd just do it in pit, and then we could just go straight from pit to mini.
Sorry?
So if I couldn't visualize it, I would just do it in pit, and then I'd just go straight to mini and just do it there, and it made things a lot easier. And like I knew what I was doing.
Was it better having a training partner who wasn't like 6 years younger than you as well?
Yeah.
Because it was tough training. Like Ryan was a kid at the time. Ryan was a 12-year-old kid. It must have been tough.
Yeah. And especially whenever he just kicked the ball all the time. Kick a ball in front of you while you're running at the mini.
Yeah.
But then, you don't have any of that. Like in Liverpool, you just. Yeah.
Was it good to have senior training partners that could relate to what you were going through and what you were doing?
Yeah, and I think it was really good to have Pam there as well, because she was in like the exact same situation. Like she'd moved from Scotland.
Because she moved from Scotland at the same time, didn't she?
I think the year before. Yeah. But like I think we did almost the same uni course or something very similar. So like our situations were pretty similar. And so like just to have someone there that is in the same position helped.
Would she be the main person you got on with?
I think so, yeah. Just because like I don't know how we knew each other, but like we seemed to know each other for a while beforehand. Like even if it was just saying hi at British. Like
Yeah, I think we always did chat, didn't we?
Yeah, like the Scottish and the Irish were always quite close.
Yeah. So going towards the end of 2015, you went into British. You must have felt confident at that stage that you're going to make your first World Championships.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, because my training was good, and I knew who the team was, like who was in the mix, and I knew that I was up there. And like the scores I could hit if I just did what I could do.
Yeah.
So I wasn't worried about that sort of thing. But I think at the same time I was still quite nervous because like I'd moved like countries almost.
Well, it is. It's a different country.
Yeah.
I know you're technically the same. It's a different island and a completely different ethos and environment.
And I do remember whenever like trialing, because that was my first British with City of Liverpool, and I was like, oh, they always make teams, so now I have to make teams.
Did that kind of expectation make it more pressure, or did it make it more confident?
Probably both. Like, yeah, both definitely, because they just, I don't really know how to put.
You had that reputation that it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
But also the expectation is
you had to fulfill that expectation. Yeah, exactly.
So obviously you came third at British. Did it feel good to get a medal eventually?
Yeah. Did that
validate you a little bit? Did that make you feel like, I know you've done Europeans, I mean that, but you got a visual medal at British. Did that feel like a big deal?
Yeah, I remember being really happy with that medal, because I think like after day one, I think I was in maybe like second, and I was like, oh, I could actually get a medal at this one. Like, that'd be pretty cool. And then day two, I think Pete did like a PB. And
you're right down.
And I went down. But no, I was so happy to get a medal, and I think it was like, I think I must have been the only. Had anyone done that from Northern Ireland?
I think not in DMT. And I know Andrew Coulter had come third on Trampoline in 2001, but you were the first person from Northern Ireland to make a senior British team in any discipline for major championships. Andrew had done a World Cup, but he had never done a Worlds or Europeans. So you were the first person from Northern Ireland to make a British team in trampoline gymnastics. Yeah,
because I remember it was quite cool. I think someone said that, maybe like Andrew Coulter said like, oh yeah, and I remember it being really cool. I think that not many people had done that.
Yeah. It was a big deal for here, like a massive deal to make a junior team, never mind a senior team.
Yeah.
So when you went out to Worlds, did everything feel good in the lead up to it? Did you feel a bit of pressure because Toby, all of a sudden, your national coach was gone and it was Phil and Lauren? Did that rattle you at all?
So I think the whole way through 2015, my hip had been playing up, and like we never ended up getting to the bottom of it, but I just ended up getting an injection. And I think by the time 2015 came around, like the Worlds, my hip was still a bit sore, and I remember that affected training a little bit. And I remember the camp not being very good at all.
Yeah.
But then whenever I got out to Worlds, it was fine.
So what happened on prelims day? Because now we know it was a bit of a disaster. Not just for you, but for the whole team.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think everybody's training was good in the back. And then we just got out to the front. And
did you feel any extra pressure because it was a World Games qualification?
No, not.
Was that not really a thing?
It was brought up. Like, we knew that, like, that was one of the like goals of the team. But I think that we knew that it wasn't going to be difficult to get the spot because of the number of countries. So as long as someone stayed on their feet, we were going to get a spot. But yeah, then Natty roll design goal and had to be stretched off. And then Pete injured himself in prelims. And then I got a 0 pass, like all back to back.
Yeah. Was that tough to come up? Because you got your 0 pass in your first pass. Were you one of the first ones up as well?
I think I was last up because I remember being after Zalman, and Zalman usually was last.
Did that have an impact on your head at all? Or did you think about it? No.
No, Zalman. I knew it was great.
So whenever I know now, like you obviously you went long and you hit the bungees and got 0 pass. Was it tough to get yourself back together to do your second pass?
I don't think so. I was annoyed, but I don't think I fully like processed that until after I finished my second pass. Because I knew I had another pass, and I knew that team finals maybe was on the table. I don't know. I don't know if we were still in the running at that point. Whatever way
ran that. You needed this score. If team finals was going to be an option, you needed this score.
Yeah, because I remember Phil saying that, because I'd been doing full and a halves.
Yeah.
In my second pass, and I remember Phil saying, "Let's just do a full instead of full and a half, to try and get a score for the team." And then that's what we did, and I got a PB. So I was happy with that, and I was happy that it wasn't a complete disaster for me. Like, I did something that.
And you hit the highest score, the highest single pass of the British team as well.
Yeah, probably.
36, I think it was. Was it tough then that you missed the team final? I think you missed the team final by like 0.3 or 0.5.
Yeah. I mean, we were really annoyed.
Were you aware that obviously the last team championship that you had, that Britain had come third? Was that kind of like in your heads?
Yeah, well, yeah, it must have been, because I watched that one and I was like, all right, well, we can get a team medal. And I knew that, like, in team finals, like, anything can happen because it's 3 up, 3 counts. So I knew that it was always going to be a possibility that you could get a team medal.
Yeah, because I remember when it came around, and I think it went right up to the wire to the last team, and Denmark went through, and it was the first time they'd ever fielded a team.
Yeah.
They went fifth, and I remember Pete, because he had retired and come back for this, and he was thinking his wife was there, and he broke down and started crying, and it was just a horrible situation.
Yeah.
Was it what you expected your first words to be?
Well, like, competition-wise, no, but everything else, yeah, it was a cool competition, but I just wasn't happy with my performance. So
you found out you'd obviously hit a World Games spot, but in spite of the fact that you're all near space. When you come away from that, did you have a goal in your mind then that the World Games spot was going to be yours?
Probably not right away, because like, I was making teams, but I still wasn't number one, like, or even that close to number one, because at that point Nathaniel was way ahead.
Yeah.
And I think at that point I must have just been like, all right, well, that's Nathaniel's spot. Like, cool. But then I don't think I ever started thinking about World Games until 2016, like after Europeans, probably. Was
the kind of the spark for that? Was it because Nathaniel was injured and you thought maybe that he wouldn't come back, or was it just that you thought, okay, I can be good?
Yeah, I mean, like, whenever. Yeah, I don't really know. I knew that we were always going to go for it, but I think it kind of just all fell into place. And I think I didn't really start ever really, really wanting, like, thinking that spot could be mine until, like, after Europeans 2016.
Was Europeans a good competition? Because it went into it, you qualified and you went and did well and everything like that, but you missed the team medal by 0.5 with a higher score by about 4 marks than you had scored when you got a third in the previous Europeans. Was that tough to pill to swallow?
Yeah, I mean, that was annoying. And it was a little bit like, we're so much better now, but so is everyone else. And so, yeah, it was frustrating, especially because I think I landed outside the box. And I was like, oh, and it wasn't even like outside the box by much. I was like, if I was,
moved landing there a little bit to catch you.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, I had still enjoyed that competition. It was a good one.
Yeah, I remember you had a successful competition. I remember I went over to watch with Nathaniel, actually, and your parents, and it was a good competition for you. Did that give you the confidence and motivation? Did you start thinking about upping your DD, getting more difficult passes that year?
Yeah, definitely. Because I think at that stage, I didn't know if Nathaniel was coming back. I think he still planned to at that point. But like, the group of like seniors had changed so much in that time. Like, Dan and Ben had moved senior and Pete had stopped. And so I knew that we were training, the group that I was training with was the group that was going to like be in contention. And so like every day you kind of compare yourself, and some days like I'd have the best session, and some days Ben would have the best session. And so like I think that sort of process kind of kicks it off, and you're like, oh well, as long as I keep getting slightly better, like I don't know, like you could kind of know exactly where you stood.
Because the whole team that went to Senior Europeans that year was from Liverpool, right?
Yeah, it was all 4 of us. Yeah.
How did that feel? That because I've never known that to happen before in trampoline, tumbling, double mini, anything. How did that feel? Feel special?
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I remember people were really annoyed that we couldn't just have the training camp at our gym. It would save us driving. But no, it was cool, and I think like Jay was really happy with it because I think that was the first for him maybe as well, probably.
And you were quite new to double mini as well. It wasn't like I think what's that 2016. So it was only 3 years really that Liverpool had been doing that.
Yeah, and like I think at that point they'd already built like a really good reputation for it, like with Nicole.
Did that validate obviously you and Mikey's move there, because Mikey had come from a different club, you'd come from a different club. Did that really go, okay, I've made the right decision, I'm in the right place?
Yeah, I mean, I knew already at that point that I'd made the right decision. Like I knew very early on. But yeah, it was nice to see it sort of like all come together as like we all made one team.
That was a big year for you. I remember you pushing DD an awful lot. Did you find, because I remember British, you did a trick, didn't go quite to the plan, but you did it, and you were training triple tucks, you were training triple pikes. Did you find that, because you'd done a lot of twists and stuff, you got your millers, full in halves and stuff, pushing onto those triples because you're quite a tall gymnast, was that tough?
The triples, I never found it hard to get a triple around.
Oh, really?
But I found it hard to land them because like I'd pull into my pike and then I'd spin, and then whenever I'd like kick out, it would just like stop. Like I'd lose all momentum. And so I could either stick a triple pike or like just fall on my arse.
Oh, really?
There was no in between.
Because I remember trying to compete it a couple of times, but it didn't really happen.
No, I never had a problem getting it round, but it was always just I just didn't get the timing.
Was it frustrating?
Oh yeah, because we trained it a lot, and it was always going to be something that I was going to compete, and then it just never got consistent. And I remember like no matter how hard I trained, like and how many I did, I just could never get the timing. It was just frustrating.
In that kind of period where you're learning all these skills, did you ever have issues with any skills? Did any skills ever have to be problematic or like skill confusion or anything like that?
Not
you
until,
learn a lot in a small space of time. Yeah,
I remember whenever I learned a lot, I think my consistency dropped a lot because I was just doing so much more. And but I didn't end up getting any sort of confusion with skills until like the very end, like in 2017.
All right, because I remember there was issues with getting lost a bit in the Miller, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was only ever the Miller.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, because I'd been doing Millers for a while, and then I think we were talking about doing a Miller half because I could do full half. And then I think the second we sort of like planted that idea in my head, I was like, oh well, let's just.
Where am I?
Yeah, and so in my head I was like, oh, don't do an extra twist because I'd almost feel like I had to stop myself. And whenever I did that, I'd sometimes do like 1.5 in, throw my arms out, and then just land. Yeah. And I didn't, the annoying thing was I didn't know when it was going to happen. I think that was the scariest part. Like, it wasn't always on a bad takeoff. In fact, it never happened on a bad takeoff. It always happened on a really, really good takeoff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because the Miller would go up. And I knew there must have been something in my head that was like, oh, this is one where you could add an extra half twist. Don't do that.
It's weird the way the brain plays those tricks on you.
Yeah.
But it never became a massive issue for you. I remember it was just a little thing, wasn't it?
Well, it didn't. I don't think I ever let anybody outside the club know it was. I don't ever think it was let to become a big thing. I remember Jay, anytime that ever happened, Jay would always just send me to pit and tell me to do 5 Millers.
I remember I would get text from you and you would be like, I bailed out of another Miller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was only ever one that was really scary, and that was in a comp, like a little regional comp we were doing to get ready for World Age. And I did like 1.5 in, 2 1/4 to 5th.
That's nasty.
On a hard landing area. I remember that, like, because that was in the warm up, and I didn't end up competing that day. And I think so. That was on the Saturday, and then Jay said, "Right, come in the gym tomorrow, and
we'll work it out."
Yeah, and it was fine. Like, it never happened again after that.
Is that why? Because 2016 British, she had 2 crashes, and it's not like you. You're usually quite. You might have the odd pass here or there, but it's not like you to crash 2 passes in one competition. Do you think it was because you were building at that stage and you were learning so much stuff?
Yeah, I definitely. Like because I think I'd learned Millers, I'd learned full 4.5. Like pretty much everything I was competing was new.
Yeah.
Or like I'd at least learned it in the last 1.5 years. And so it was that. And I think 2016 British was probably the first one where I thought I could probably like maybe push for a win, because Nathaniel just come back from injury, and like everybody in Liverpool was like roughly the same sort of level. So I think that one was the first one I was like, oh, maybe I could win this. And then I think it was probably just a combination of that plus everything I was doing felt new.
Yeah. I think you might have been trying your triple pike, not because you did half out tuck that went quite long.
No, that was Miller.
Was that supposed to be Miller? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But were you glad? Was that the intention? Because you kind of had that half end of 2016 free, because it's to build and it's to get ready for the important year. Yeah.
And I think at the end of 2016, so we had 3 competitions at the end of 2016, like in the space of a month. So we had like Northwest Regionals, and then we had Lule, and then we had Dave Ward Cup, Dave Hunt Cup.
Oh yeah, because it was a week apart after Lule. Yeah.
So I knew we had that, and I had like a really solid, I upgraded from British to that, and I had like a pretty solid set of passes that I knew I could do. And I think at that point, I think me and Luke had a conversation. I was like, right, I don't want to upgrade anything.
Just keep it.
Yeah. So we agreed that, and yeah, it was boring, but
but it got you where you wanted to be.
Yeah.
When you went, obviously at this stage, 2017, you knew Nathaniel had retired. Was your goal going to be World Games? I think I remember getting a text from you going, "That World Games spot's mine."
Yeah, I knew who was in the mix, and I knew that like I was getting, especially after those 3 comps at the end of 2016, I think I won both of them, and then I crashed at Lule.
I think you all crashed at Lule, so it was fine.
Everybody crashed at Lule, so yeah, that was fine. But yeah, I think at that point I was getting very close to saying that, yeah, I want that spot. It's mine.
Yeah. Your confidence levels then had moved a lot since your Northern Ireland at that stage. Because you would never have said something like that, I don't think, in Northern Ireland. You would have said, I'd like to, I want to, but it was very I remember kind of being taken aback a little bit, because your text said, "That World Game spot is mine." And I actually don't think Nathaniel had retired at this stage. But you were that confident. It wasn't cocky. It was confident. Like, I think it's in me to get that spot. Yeah,
no, I definitely knew, especially because I'd upped my difficulty to a level where it was going to be competitive no matter what anybody else did. And my execution was getting better. Like, it just kept getting better, and my consistency was getting to the level it needed to be.
So going into SES 1, you obviously knew that the 2 trials were the 2 SES, which is our qualification series for British Championships. But this year they were also the World Games trials.
Yeah.
Did that put extra pressure? Because sometimes SES can be a little throwaway. You know, maybe throw away one, get the other. Did it put extra pressure on you must hit on both of these?
Yeah, and I think, well, it was like the way the criteria was written, because I remember it was, I think the criteria, I don't know how early it came out, but I remember we were always like, what's it going to be? And I think some people, there was conversations of it just being who can hit the highest score at any SES.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, well, if that's going to be the criteria, that's going to be hard. And then when the criteria did come out and it was, you have to hit this score at both, I remember thinking, all right, well, that suits me. Like,
and it was a 4-pass score, wasn't it? It wasn't just a 2-pass score.
Yeah, there wasn't. I don't think there was a 2-pass score. I just had to But yeah, I think because we knew it was going to be SES, like we were told very early on these are going to be the trials. Everybody knew that it wasn't going to be a throwaway. So like you had time to prepare and you knew exactly when it was going to be. So,
what did you think of the actual? Because SES is normally, you know, it's very well run, and it's very well run like a club international type thing. But this SES, they decided to make a massive deal of the World Games trials, and it went on for about 6 hours.
Yeah. So we got there, and so we got the start list, and usually, I mean, it's not abnormal for them to put the senior men and senior women competing at the same time because there's very few people. And I think they must have thought that whenever they were doing this because they'd dunked this all in. But obviously it's a World Games trial, so like everybody was there. Like everybody decided to just give it a go. And so we got there, and there must have been like, there was more than 20 people warming up. And I don't know, I think it made it easier for me, at least.
Everyone else happened, but you seem to be quite chilled.
Yeah, because I knew that, like the way we trained in Liverpool, because at that point I'd started training on my own because of uni, and I was coaching, I think, as well. So I trained on my own, and I think the way I trained, it was very much just like, right, well, I'm going to do all my passes as fast as possible, and then just rest. So whenever SES came, and there was like 20 odd people in our group, and I knew that we were only probably going to get like 5 runs at the minis to warm up, like I was fine with that. But I knew a lot of people weren't fine with it, and it sounds really bad, but like I think the fact that lots of people were stressed probably made me pretty calm.
Because you probably knew then if they're stressing, then it'll affect their performance in a way, and if you can stay calm, you can do it. Yeah. So you obviously did really well. You hit the scores, but you were the only person at that trial to hit the score, weren't you?
Yeah. So I knew after the first round, the first round was a mess for everybody except for me. And I knew that pretty much everybody, bar maybe 2, had crashed. And it wasn't just like people that was like maybe could have made it. It was like Dan and Ben, who were my biggest competition to get the spot. And then at that point I knew, right, okay, I just have to land on my feet, and I've got this one.
Did it make you feel nervous or extra pressure, or did you step up and be fine?
I was only nervous for the Miller pass because that was the one that I'd been thinking like, that was the shortest. And then I remember running, I think I messed up my steps, and I did the worst half out ever. I remember thinking, like, as I was like lining out of the half out, I was like, I genuinely don't know if I can Miller off this, but I have got no backup. So I just took off, and I remember like being in the middle, like trying to somehow get round, and then, like a massive pipe down, but I managed to stay on my feet.
That's all you need to do.
Hit the score. And then, I was the only one that hit the score.
So did you know then going into the second trial that it really didn't matter where you placed, it just mattered that you hit the score again?
Yeah, like from that point, it was just a completely different sort of, it's a different ball game. I just needed to.
Do you think that pushed the other guys? Because Dan and Ben came into that second trial on a mission, and they hit massive scores.
Yeah.
So,
yes. So I remember loads of people talking about how they were going to approach the next trial. And it was just everybody was trying to hit as big a score as possible and hope that I fell.
that must have played on your mind, did it? Did you know people were going in there hoping for you to fall?
Yeah. Like we were always very close in Liverpool, like me, Dan and Ben. And like there was no sort of, like, I didn't want them to fall, and like I don't think that, like, we were happy for each other when like people did well. So I don't think it was like done in a malice way.
Yeah. But you did you find it more pressure knowing that you had to, that it was yours to throw away? Like if all you need to do was go and land on your feet, really, and if you didn't, it was your spot to throw away.
Yeah, I mean, I knew it was my spot to throw away, but at the same time, everybody was like, "Oh yeah, this is your spot." Like people were talking as if I'd already got the spot after the first one, and I remember like everybody was just like, I remember telling people like we're only halfway through, like I could fault the next one, and then it's
and someone else gets a bigger score in the
spot. Yeah, and so I didn't ever think this but is mine until I didn't think it was mine to lose until the very last pass of Spring Series 2, because I was last and I knew exactly what score I needed to make the forward pass score. And I don't even think I think I could have sat down and hit it. So I knew that as long as I took off that last game, as long as I didn't shoot the mini, then I was going to be okay.
Sometimes that's tough for you, because when you think
that's the thing that I always do.
Don't go long, then you go long.
Yeah.
But so when you landed, you were sure then it was yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think we didn't even really. I don't remember the announcement being made. I remember your Facebook post, but I remember everyone congratulating you as soon as the competition was done. You knew that stage, didn't you?
Yeah, because I knew, the criteria is pretty black and white. Like, if you hit both, and you were the only person to hit both, that's what was yours. There was no other way it was going to go. So, I mean, that was nice, because that was probably the first trial that I ever just did and got it automatically. Every other trial, I was always like, maybe. But that was the first one where.
It's good though, isn't it, that especially in DMT compared to maybe other disciplines, but it's very black and white going. If you hit the score, you're going.
Yeah.
If you don't go, there's no politics, there's no favoritism, there's no anything else.
Yeah.
If you come from absolutely nowhere, but you hit the scores, then you're going.
Yeah.
I think it's good for people like you and Ruth Shevlin when she made the 2018 Europeans. Same thing. Came from nowhere, but you hit the score, and it's good to know that. It gives you confidence, and you know that it's a fair system.
Yeah.
So going into World Games, was the preparation good?
I think it was fine. Yeah, I don't remember it ever being bad. I remember it was quite relaxed actually.
Did it feel different? Because the boys I know you maybe weren't trained with them as much, but the boys and the rest of the club, they could really take a break now between, because they didn't have anything till, that was June, they didn't have anything till September when they had the British.
Yeah.
So they could kind of take a break and take their foot off the gas, and probably the whole club probably went into new skills or whatever. And there was a tough having you to stay in the mode of competition.
A little bit, but not really, because I think I was always used to, at that stage, I was definitely used to just training on my own, because I'd done it I pretty much ended up training on my own once we moved centre.
Full-time facility.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was used to just training on my own. I remember Dan Thiel trained with me quite a lot in that time. I think he must have started doing afternoons.
Was he maybe the reserve?
I think Ben was.
But he didn't bother. He didn't bother training.
They didn't announce a reserve, but I think it was either Dan or Ben. Yeah, I don't.
I think Dan won the second trial.
Yeah, I don't think they've ever said they were going to announce a reserve until they needed one.
Yeah, fair enough. Were you happy with the girl who was selected then? Were you quite close to Kirsty?
Yeah. Yeah, because we always said that we knew throughout the year that we wanted it to be us too. Yeah.
Secret meetings. So I suppose you were ecstatic when she got selected. Did you kind of think at the first trial when she did the stupid straddle jump off, or straddle jump, did you think, what are you doing?
No. In the first trial, so I don't watch people when they compete. And I hadn't competed in the same flight as Kirsty before, but I still didn't watch her. So she must have done the straddle jump, and I just turned around once I heard her hit the landing area, and I just seen, oh, she's stuck in the box. So I cheered. And then, and then I turned around, and I think it was either Caitlin or Phoebe. I think it was Caitlin. And Caitlin was just like, no, that did a straddle jump. And I was like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, it stick it, but it wasn't a good skill.
No. Yeah.
Did it feel weird going into the preparation camp then with just the two of you? Because you're so used to not just preparation camps, but all the squads you've been at in Lilleshall.
Yeah.
There's been multiple coaches, multiple gymnasts. What was it like just building up the two of you on your own? And Phil, obviously.
It was quite fun. Yeah, because usually whenever you go to a training camp, they have a very structured, this is exactly what we're going to do. And we sort of had that. But I think I don't know, Phil didn't do the timetable. It was just someone, I think British Gymnastics just did this is when you've got the hall or whatever. And they've given us 2-hour slots.
But two people.
Me and Kirsty were like, yeah, Phil, we're not doing that. And yeah, Phil pretty much just said, look, let's just go in and you can, like, as long as you do your passes, like, that's all we have to do. So I think Kirsty said this in her interview. Like, we would rock up to the artistic gym and the acros would start doing all their acro stuff. And Lucy and Elliot would, like, train. And we would just kind of stretch. And then we'd just go off and we'd be back within, like, 20 minutes, half an hour. Yeah, it was just really chilled. And by that stage, Accra were on like their 10th routine, and they had about 50 more.
Was it good that you need? Because I'm coming off. You had Scalabus Cup a couple weeks before that.
Yeah.
You had a bit of a. You fell because you'd gone on again, and the landing area was up underneath you, and I was mounting and horrendous. And then Kirsty was having her issues with skills. Was it good to have that complete chill out time alone with Phil, where you're able to just calm down and get sorted?
Yeah, I think like Scalabus Cup, we just forgot about. Like the whole thing with like the mat being under the mini, like I didn't really, not that I didn't like say, okay, that's my fault for going long, but I still think I could have done a skill off that.
Yeah.
I still think I could have done a pass.
We argued,
but yeah, I didn't really think about Scalabus. I mean, we did obviously after Scalabus, like back in Liverpool and back at squad, we did a lot of just doing mounts, trying to not go long.
It helped me because every time I get to a mini now, a competition, I'm standing the mat. I look down at the landing area just to make sure. Because that was a psychologically scarring experience. Especially me standing there in the middle of in a gripper's tracksuit on, arguing with the chair of the judges panel. But I still think she was wrong. So did it feel different, that preparation camp? You obviously had all the media, and did it feel like it was a bigger deal than like your normal world championships and European championships? Because I've seen interviews and stuff you and Kirsty did, and just a lot more focus on it probably. A
little bit, like, because we'd done some, I know sometimes they did like British Championships media or normal national team camps, but yeah, it did feel a bit different. And like whenever you had acro and tumbling and we'd have team meetings, the meetings were different because we never usually had those like for a world, because they talk about like things, I don't know, they talk about the venues that you're going to and stuff like that. I don't know. It did feel a little bit different, but not overly. When you got out there, what was the feeling like? Did it feel like a multi-sport games? Like obviously I've said this to other people that we always talk about it as being our Olympics, but did it feel like that when you got there? A little. I think because we didn't really see many other sports, because... Is there not like a village, no? No. So there's like hotels, like there's hotels for the event, and I think the only people staying in those hotels are athletes, but in our hotel it was just like Trampoline, like athletes. So we had like Canada, I think Denmark in our hotel. So like we knew people, or like it didn't feel any different to how it would normally be at a Worlds. So it was more like a multidiscipline gymnastics event as opposed to a multidiscipline big event. Yeah. Was there extra pressure on that, because only 10 people in the world qualified to the World Games and only 8 make the final? So only 2 people are the people left out. Did that put extra pressure on your tactics going into the competition? Yeah, well, yeah, we thought about it, but I think especially for the men, because there was 2 Russians. There was only one person wasn't going to make it. And so I had a few different passes in prelims. Like I had harder passes if I needed to switch one in. But I didn't really, like we didn't train it. I had very easy passes that I knew I could do. Yeah, because I remember you took out the Rudy out, didn't you, and put it in the half out because you didn't think you needed it? Yeah, so I switched the Rudy out before the Miller. And then, because I was training Triff for that, but then whenever we got out there, we just decided that we didn't need it. Go with the safe option, Yeah. Was it relief then when you got into the final that you weren't that one person who wasn't going to make the final? Yeah, so I think I knew that I wasn't. So I did my first pass, and then I think quite a few people fell in their first pass. or not many, but like
yeah,
the ones that we.
There was a lot of rolling outs and stuff, wasn't there? Running off the line.
I think where I fell in the second pass, someone had got a 0 in their first pass and done their second pass, and their second pass was lower than my first pass. So I think I knew before I'd done my second pass that I was going to be in finals.
Okay. So it took the pressure completely off it.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy, because that was your first major championship final as an individual. Obviously you'd done finals, but you'd never done major international individual finals. Did it feel different?
I was just really relaxed. Like, so that's probably the least nervous I've ever been for a competition, because
why that?
So like whenever you compete at like Worlds, it's like a qualifying, and you know that it's almost like there's a consequence if you don't do well. Like, oh, you're not going to get to final, you're not going to make team final. Whereas like you're at World Games and that's it. Like there isn't any higher. So like there's no consequences, or there's nothing to lose.
And in your head, did you kind of think that that might have been your last competition? Because I remember talking to you before that, you thought that that might have been it.
Yes, because I was knackered. Like that year was just exhausting. Like having to peak the spring series, well, sort of peak the spring series 1 and 2. And I was finishing. That was my last year of uni, so I was in the middle of exam season. I was just exhausted, and I think I got to World Games, and I was just like, yeah, this is going to be me. Like I'm happy I've done it. I'm going to be done.
So whenever you did your final and you were 5th, and you'd done a solid competition and competed some of your best passes, would you have been happy at that point if that was your career over?
Probably, yeah. But I think the second I landed my second pass, and then you get that adrenaline, and you've got that like feeling like you've done a really good comp, and I was like, let's just do one more. Fine.
Just Worlds.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people have been saying, oh yeah, because not that it was official, but it was like me and Kirsty, because we'd done World Games, we were like sort of on the World's team. But
you had to majorly mess up to not get on it.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was like, right, fine. Well, if the chance, like if I'm pretty much going to World already, then I may as well.
Did you find it tough then once that elation was over and you had a bit of downtime?
Yeah.
Did you kind of regret the decision a little bit?
Yeah. So I go back in the gym because I was still coaching. So I think I came back and just coached for the first week, and then I took the second week just to condition. And then, but like I would come in the gym and I conditioned for about 10 minutes, and I think I'd be like, what am I doing here? Why am I even bothering? I'm tired still. And it was like you couldn't really have that much downtime because British was only a few weeks after World Games, and then World was only like 7 weeks after British. So you didn't have, it's not like the Olympics. This is where it really didn't feel like Olympics, because the Olympians, they all go off and travel like for 6 months, or
they don't do anything in the sport for a while.
Whereas we come back and within 2 weeks, we've got to start training for British. So that was hard. And I had no motivation. And I think I got a text from British Gymnastics about 4 weeks before British. And they're like, hi, we're just letting you know that we're going to come and film some of your training for British.
Oh.
I just remember laughing. I was like, yeah, please don't.
Was that the footage where you pretended to do a dismount and it was just a straight back, but they cut it in so there was a full in the air and a stuck straight back that they put together?
Yeah, because I didn't want to land in a hard landing area. So I did the full onto like a soft mat. And then they were like, okay, can you just do like a tuck jump off the mini onto the hard landing area and we'll just edit it. So we did that. That
was what played up in the arena at the British Championships, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I remember a few times getting a text message from you saying, it was the funny thing you always said, I just want to eat cake. That was your thing in between, that you just wanted to be done.
Yeah.
Did you ever contemplate, even after you got selected for Worlds and stuff, did you ever contemplate going, nah, I'm not going to do it?
No. Like once I committed to doing something, I was going to do it.
Yeah.
And like even after World Games, even like as unmotivated as I was still going to compete at British.
You did. I remember at the preparation camp, because that was when Ryan got back on the team and I was back involved as a coach, and you had a kind of a bit of a breakdown at the training camp and stuff, trying to push stuff in. Did you just find that whole process leading up to it really tough?
Yeah, like, especially because I was probably the most experienced person on the team, like with Kirsty.
Yeah.
But none of the other guys on the team had done a senior world before. And so I felt pressured to like lead by example a little bit. And then obviously things weren't going very well. And yeah, I had to take myself off, have a cry in the cupboard.
Yeah, we just kind of left you. That's the first time I'd seen that happen in a long time.
Yeah.
That you actually had that emotion again. Because
Yeah,
you're quite...
Yeah, I think I was just exhausted at that point. And like I'd started my masters as well. I did just everything. I was just tired. My body was sore. I hadn't really had a break for like since the beginning of the year. And I just needed to be done at that point.
So did you have goals going into 2017 Worlds, or was it just get the passes done?
So yeah, I did want to, I wanted to get a team medal. That was like the one thing that I wanted. And like that was probably the main reason I did it.
Okay.
Because after what happened in 2015, I was like, right, well, I will definitely regret not trying for another team medal. So that was my main one.
It must have been relief when you made the team final then, yeah?
I was surprised. Yeah, because
prelims again.
Hmm?
That you made the team final?
Yeah, because prelims didn't go well for us.
Oh, yes, I think I remember Dan crashed one pass and Reese crashed a different pass. So, but the one needed the other pass to kind of make the team total.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, I can't remember if Reese did maybe a double back this time. There was something that made it very, very close.
Yeah.
Because I remember whenever we did our prelims, and my prelims was good. And then I think I was the first one up, maybe. I think I always used to just go first. And I remember the physio was like, "Oh, cool, so we're using finals." And at that point, I was just like, "No, that's probably not. That's me retired now. I'm done." Done.
So you've got the kind of surprise of making the team final. What was it like to make the individual final?
So whenever I finished my flight, I think I must have been like third, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's quite a good score." But we were very early on in the flight, like pretty much. I think we maybe were the first or second flight.
Yeah, I think you're first. Yeah.
So I was third, and then I was like, "Yeah, that's fine." But we've got all of the Russian, all the Portuguese, all the Spanish, and then it dropped down to about fifth after. Yeah, so I was sitting at about fourth right up until a certain point, and then it was like the Portuguese and the Spanish were in the same like group, and I was like, right, okay, this is where I get knocked out because we'll get two of those and it'll be fine.
Did you not want to do finals?
I didn't have any passes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I remember you texting saying, "I'm not trained in finals passes."
No, I knew. Well, in my head, I was like, "I'm never going to need these." I only trained two. And
so, like, were you kind of hoping as it was going down that someone would put you out?
Like, yes and no, because like part of me was like, "Oh, I don't want to do finals because that's going to be embarrassing because I've got nothing." And like as it got lower and lower, like I was getting a little bit like, "Oh, I'm not going to be able to say that I've made a world final." But at the same time, I was like, "Yeah, I don't have to. I can be retired now," because we still didn't know if we were in team finals until the very, very last.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I found out about both those at the same time because, well, sort of the same time. So I think it was Belgium were the team that could have knocked us out of team finals, and then John Schwager was in the last group, and I think I was. No, because I qualified in seventh. So I think I was just in total denial. I was like, "Oh yeah, John Schwager's going to take over me and we'll be fine." And then I think someone told me, was like, "Yeah, but you'll still be in it." And I was like,
damn.
And then whenever, because they started doing that thing when they announced it and like, "Oh, so-and-so's in the final." And then they said my name and I was like, "Oh, well, I was obviously happy." Right? I was very happy. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just kind of those ones you're not expecting it. So you're kind of going, it's amazing and it's a really big honor and you've achieved what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
So oh no.
I was happy, then dread.
Because I remember you text me going, I've nothing left, I'm going to have to do my trip.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you went into the into the team final, because obviously the team final happens before the individual final.
Yeah.
Like, it was so close. It was 0.3 between third to fifth. Yeah. Like, how was it feeling in the camp after that? Because obviously you end up coming fifth, didn't you?
Yeah, that was my fault.
Well, I don't think it was your fault entirely.
Oh, no, it was my fault. I take full responsibility for that. Like, any other pass that I had done throughout the entire year would have gotten us a medal. And the other two guys pretty much stuck in the box.
Because so it was your full ass straight, full straight, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I just completely overdid full ass straight and went back to full whip back.
Did you beat yourself up a bit about it?
A little bit, yeah. Because I knew, like, there was no two ways about that. It was my fault, and I knew in my head, that was one of the only reasons I stayed on until Worlds, was to try and get that team medal. And it was frustrating, and like, I still look back at it and go like, why couldn't you just do a normal pass?
You knew what, sir? You can't hear you properly.
I was just like, why couldn't you just do a normal pass just once?
One time.
Just
it is. It
time. But yeah.
Were you glad that you had another chance at the final after that? Then, after that kind of disappointment, one that you had no pressure, that you could just go and enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, I approached that final just like, I didn't expect to be here. I'm doing passes I have not trained. I'm just going to give this a go and see how it goes. And it's a pretty cool view of the final, if nothing else.
Yeah. Did it feel cool when you think about it after? Like, do you think back on, oh my, I was a World finalist and a World Games finalist. Like, especially when you got like your master gymnast from FIG and from BG in 2018, British, I think. Did you reflect back and then go, I was pretty good? Like, I went from the very fourth person in the team, and from a region of British gymnastics that doesn't produce. You transferred into Great Britain. Most people transfer out of Great Britain. Yeah. And you went from that to the top person in the team and one of the top in the world. Do you ever reflect back on that and think about that journey?
Sometimes, like, whenever I think about like being that kid that was on the Irish team in 2011 and didn't do very well, like, to end up making a senior world final. Like, I would have been happy just making that world age team in 2013 and GB and saying, yeah, that's me. Thanks very much. Because I never thought that I would get to that standard. And I think after I made my first Worlds team, or my first Europeans team, actually, like, everything after that was just a bit of a shock.
What do you think got you that success? Like, what would you think was the kind of secret behind that success?
I don't know. I just worked. I worked a lot harder than everybody else. Like, I know that. I don't really think it's a massive secret. But like, I did a lot more numbers. I was in the gym a lot more hours. And yeah, like, some of the times I made the team, okay, yeah, some of it was like people weren't there to trial, like my first Europeans. Yeah. But I think, yeah, I just did a lot more numbers.
Because if you think back on that to 2014, if that was now, that what you were doing wouldn't make the team, and you would never get those opportunities probably. Yeah. Or maybe you might have gone on to get them, but you might not have got those opportunities that you got then. You might not have got Liverpool, you might not have gotten. So it's kind of, it makes you think about when we cut off people and early specialization versus late specialization. Stuff like that. So after you came back from 2017, did you ever go and train again, or was that you done?
Yeah, so I took a year off. Like, I think I was done. In my head, I was like, right, I'm not doing this. But there was always something like, oh, maybe I could do, because I knew Tokyo. I was like, I maybe will have a free trip to Tokyo if I can get back in the gym. And I remember coming back. I think I was covering, I don't know, I was coaching in Liverpool when 2018 Worlds were going on, because all their coaches went out. So I was covering. And I had to play about for those 2 weeks, just to see, like, if,
I think so.
Still do stuff, and I did most of my skills like within those 2 weeks, but I just had no motivation. I was like, what would I be coming back for? I've done more than I thought I could.
Yeah, what do you have to prove type of thing?
Exactly. Yeah, and I always find it difficult. I think I find it difficult to just do it for fun because I'd taken it seriously for so long that, not that it wasn't fun, but there's more fun things that I can think of doing with my time than.
I remember after 2017, I knew that you were taking a break, but you said you weren't going to enter retirement until you knew, but you still haven't announced. But I remember I knew Ryan was going to go senior that year, and I had a pretty good idea that he was probably going to make the British team for senior world. And I always thought it'd be cool if you had made that comeback and you and Ryan had done it, because you never did a team together ever.
No, never.
It was either one or the other.
Yeah, there were times we were on the same world age and world, but never at the same. Yeah,
it was like the Europeans you did. He just missed it. He came. He's fifth. So that junior, when junior and seniors were together, you never made it. And I always think that would have been quite a cool thing to make. So, when you think back on your whole career and you think back on everything you've done, what would be your biggest, like the biggest high of your routines, of your career?
I think it was like making 2014 European. I remember being the most excited about anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in trampoline, because I was like, that was so cool. And then, I think finishing World Games, like after my last pass, that was also a good one because like the whole time, whenever you're at World Games, not like you can really enjoy it because you know you've got to compete. But then whenever it's done and you can like say that you've done it and it went well, that was a good one.
Yeah, I think you're the first person as well from Northern Ireland to go to World Games. I don't know any other sport or anything where people go from Northern Ireland to World Games, so it's quite cool. Yeah. If you think about then, on the flip side of that, what would be your biggest low or your biggest regret? You probably touched on it already.
2017 team final. I still think about that. That's so annoying. Yeah, that one, because I think that's the only thing that I wanted to achieve that I didn't. Was that team medal.
And you were so close.
Yeah, and the fact it was my fault as well.
Every time I say it, I can see like a stab going through your heart.
Yeah.
You see your face.
Yeah, that's the one thing that annoys me. Was that team final. But yeah.
So like you used to coach and everything like that, and I think people don't really realize is that you used to be an international judge as well. In 2013, you became the world's youngest international trampoline judge.
Yeah.
At 17 years old. Mm-hmm. What do you see as your future involvement in DMT, if there's going to be any future involvement at all?
Maybe, I don't know. Like, I do want to coach. I enjoy coaching a lot, and I probably still would coach if there was a club near where I live, but there isn't.
Do you think there's any scope to set one up? Would you be that interested, or would you just like to be able to go into a club coach and lead?
I would start one, but I think it's like, because there's so many like different qualifications that you have to go through. Yeah, that's going to take a long time.
Well, now the new system hopefully coming in, that you'll be able to just do DMT specific qualifications.
Yeah, it probably would speed it up. But I really did enjoy coaching. I really enjoyed that. Judging was fine. I just kind of did that because I could.
Do you miss the people? Because like judging's a good way to do something where you get to see people without having to be in the gym 5 days a week. So exactly. 6 times a year you can go and judge a competition. Would that entice you back in just to see people again?
Yeah, because I still am in touch with everybody. I think like I still see them at competitions. Me and Kirsty still chat all the time, and I still like to go and hang out with people.
Because the social side of it, you never lose.
No, never.
You always like the people, otherwise you wouldn't have been in the sport for so long.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're thinking about your whole career, you've had quite a few different coaches now. Pick a couple of coaches and what's the biggest impact they've had on your career or as you as a person? Yeah.
So like obviously Jay. It's really hard to describe. Like initially I was terrified of Jay because like if you don't know him, like I was just scared of Jay. And then like you get to his club and he's just a massive softie. And yeah, no, he was really good. I think Luke taught me a lot of the skills, and then I think Jay like did a lot of like, this is how you like become an athlete. I don't know. It's really
the kind of mental side of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I remember
the rest of it.
Yeah. So he did a lot of that, and like, you know, I needed that definitely because of the amount that I was learning in such a short space of time. Like, there was no way I would ever have been that successful without someone just to like, I don't know.
Yeah, guiding you, kind of a mentor, nearly.
And then Luke, yeah, he was the one that got me to do skills that I was just scared to do. And like, in fairness, like whenever I moved to Liverpool, it probably took about a year for us to understand each other's accents. So there was a lot of just like smiling and nodding. But no, like Luke was really good in that. Like, he was tough. Like, yeah, he was tough a lot of the time, and it was always really, really difficult to please Luke. But then eventually, when you did, it felt really good. And then like in the last few years, like we ended up just becoming more friends. Like the coach athlete changed more to like, we're friends.
Friends.
Yeah. And then obviously like you and Gail. Like where Luke and Jay, like Jay would do the mental side, Luke would do like skills. It was like Gail would do the mental side and you would like do skills, that kind of thing. And like I speak to Gail like most days. Like, we're really, really close, and she's like my second mum.
Yeah. She was very much, isn't it, the emotional support as well for you, wasn't she? As you're coming through.
100%. Yeah.
And she never left your career.
Hmm?
She never left your career, even though she wasn't coaching you. She never left your career.
Exactly. Like even if I had a really bad day in Liverpool, like I would still like text her or call her. Just be like, she stayed as like the emotional support, and you as well. Like I still text you. Like I still texted you like if I had a bad day or if I like bailed out of a Miller.
Yeah. It was usually, what passage are I doing with Jordan? So it still stayed in the technical thing, but it was just from afar, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. Because Brian even calls Gail Trampoline Mummy as well. So
yeah. But then like even Ireland, like I still feel like if I hadn't gone through Ireland, like, I'm not naive to say that if I wasn't on the Irish team or if I didn't go to World Age for Ireland, like that didn't impact my career. Like absolutely it did. Like I'm not totally. Like, it would just be
give you that hunger for it.
Exactly. Yeah. And even just like things like you go to Irish squad and you have like the group of gymnasts. Okay, right, it might not have been the same standard, but it still helped in some way.
It was the start of it. It was the start, and it gave you that push to start it all. It has to start somewhere, and the kind of seed has to start from somewhere. So what, in general, besides trampoline and gymnastics, or what's general the future got in store for Andrew Houston? Because we haven't heard, like, obviously I'm in contact with it, but the general public, it's in all intents and purposes, you just disappeared. So like, it's good to know what you've done since you retired.
I just got a job. It's just normal life. I don't know. I work in like military rehab, and then I'm doing my PhD. I don't know. It just feels normal life. I'm just enjoying being normal.
Do you think being an athlete is like, when you go back to your real life, do you realize how abnormal being an athlete is?
Yeah. Well, like sort of like I noticed it a lot during uni. Like where people would just be able to just go out and not think about, what if I'm hungover tomorrow? Like that was weird because you always had to think about, like, I can't be hungover and I can't just eat whatever I want. And like you're always in a little bit of a bubble. Like I have to control a lot more things than the normal person does. Yeah,
it is definitely different and it's tough. So kind of come toward the end because we're in on a good bit of time now. But last thing, and I've asked everyone this because I think it's really important when young gymnasts are going to watch this, they've seen your whole journey. But what's the biggest piece of advice you would give to young gymnasts coming through now?
I think it's just work hard. Like that's the thing that I always think of myself as a gymnast, where like I don't think of someone that just was able to do big skills or just things came naturally. Like I worked really, really hard. And even making teams, like I definitely made teams ahead of people that were more talented and were just naturally good, like able to do big difficulty. Like that wasn't ever me. Like I got there because I worked hard.
Yeah.
And it's, like I don't regret anything about my career. Like even like world team final, I don't regret any of that because I know that I couldn't have done anything more. It wasn't like I didn't mess up because I didn't put the work in. That just happened. Like, it was just unlucky.
Do you think that sport has had a big impact on your normal life, like in your values and things you've learned from it?
Yeah, I mean, like even still, like I still carry forward like that work ethic into other things. Yeah, like it just teaches you a bit more on how to be disciplined, more than like the normal person.
Yeah.
Yeah, you notice like some differences in athletes compared to
The average.
Yeah.
Cool. Right. I think we'll need to leave it there because we're coming towards the end. But first, yeah. thanks for joining me today, and thanks for having a chat. I know there was lots to talk about. It's probably weird because we know each other so well. Some of the questions, you know, because I know the story behind some of it, but it was quite cool to get what you were thinking and some of the things that you're saying, not necessarily that I knew either. So it was great to have you today, Andrew.
Cheers.
And I'm sure I'll see you. Hopefully, when you come home to Northern Ireland, I can cut your hair. You won't have to wear a hat.
Yeah.
I'll be able to get back. Okay, well, I'll talk to you again soon. Nice to have you.
Bye.
Good.